Blog It Friends Show.
What's up, my bloggy friends? Famous Ashley Grant here, and I just wanted to chime in before this episode begins and let you know that this will be just a little bit different than most of the episodes I've shared recently. Instead of talking directly related to blogging, it'll be something indirect. I'm interviewing Stephanie Levitt, who is the founder of Pathways Counseling Services, and we're talking all about mental health and entrepreneurship. So just a quick trigger warning, we will be talking about burnout and suicidal ideation and a lot of other things related to mental health. So just wanted to let you guys know that before this episode begins, but there's a lot of really awesome knowledge bombs and golden nuggets in this episode, so I hope you enjoy the show. Well, welcome, and can you do me a favor and tell me what you do?
Yes. I'm Stephanie Levitt with Pathways Counseling Services here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I am a mental health counselor. We have several people here at the office. We all specialize in our unique niche, and for me in particular, I love working with entrepreneurs. So I'm excited to be here today.
Well, I'm excited to have you. So tell me, what exactly does mental health mean?
Yeah, mental health really is, for me, it's a balance of your psychological, your social, your spiritual life. It's really where, one affects the other. And so having a good balance of all of that and paying attention to all of that is really what mental health is about. When one gets off balance, that's where we tend to see the others. It affects the others as well.
So why is it so important that we protect our mental health?
Oh, goodness. Well, mental health more than ever. I think with our, the daily influences that we have to media, social media, the news, just neighbors, even things like, next door, you're seeing constantly day to day, you're being barraged with messages that are scary. And, I think that it's really important to keep your mental health in check and to make sure you're doing things to protect your mental health so that you can be, you can live your best life and be there and show up for your family, your friends, your work.
So what does that mean in terms of as an entrepreneur? Why is it so important or more important for entrepreneurs to protect their mental health, and how should they go about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. Entrepreneurs, I think, tend to get pretty focused on our work, and we tend to lose sight of the environment around us. So we tend to laser focus, and if we're all work and no play. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but it's true. And so if entrepreneurs are completely involved in their work and all aspects of their work, and you really need to be when you're, starting out as an entrepreneur, I can see where the balance is very, very easily gets derailed, and they tend to forget their mental health. So I think more than ever, entrepreneurs need to focus on that balance.
Now, this wasn't in the questions that I sent you before, but I'm kind of curious. Whenever it comes to being an entrepreneur, we don't have a boss we have to check in with. We don't have a day or a time that we clock in. We don't have vacation days. We're kind of in charge of all our own things. Do you think that kind of it negatively impacts our mental health and is what causes us to forget about it?
I absolutely do. That's a really good point, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're working 24/7. You don't have vacation days. You don't have PTO days where you can just turn off your phone and relax. And so I do think that tends to lead to working all the time. You're never off. And that can really wear somebody down over time.
What would you say is kind of the best way for an entrepreneur to keep their mental health in check then?
What I have found works, and what I work with with my clients, is really keeping in check, being very mindful of having a balance. So if they notice that the first step to anything is being aware. If you are aware that the balance is off, you can do something to fix it. If you're not aware that it's off, it's hard to fix. So being aware that, okay, I've spent, 5 hours nonstop on work or in the office. I need to go take a break. Maybe I'll go take a walk around the block. Maybe I'll, go grab a coffee at my favorite place. I'll talk to my son for a while. Something that really helps someone keep in check of that balance, that it's not leaning all towards work and no play.
What do you say to the person, though, who says, well, my work is my passion. I love what I do. How do you convince them that they need to take a break?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one, because I get that. I get that a lot. My work is my passion. And so I understand that. I think initially it can be very exciting being an entrepreneur and starting off and having all of these roles that you're filling. But eventually, I think that gets wearing and that gets trying. No matter how exciting it is in the beginning, I think after a while, it wears on people. And again, looking at that balance and looking at, even if it means, half hour a day, broken up into different spots, but you're doing something that, even giving yourself permission to have the time and not guilting yourself of, oh, I should really be doing something, giving yourself 5 minutes, you got to take a shower anyway, do it mindfully, do a mindfulness while you're in the shower. Taking care of yourself like that, rather than having those worry thoughts going in the shower constantly going through your mind, might as well take that moment to do a mindfulness.
That makes sense. Dr. Nikisha Hammond, she's a psychologist based in Brandon, Florida. And one of the things that she used to say to me all the time is you need to take a 5-minute vacation. It doesn't mean you have to go anywhere. It doesn't mean you have to spend any money. Just sit down and take 5 minutes to you that belongs to just you.
Yes, absolutely. And again, giving yourself permission, because where I find a lot of entrepreneurs get in trouble is they start shooting on themselves. And so they say, I should be doing something. I should not be sitting here and doing nothing. And it's really not about doing nothing. It's about taking that 5-minute mindfulness break. Maybe you do a quick gratitude journal, or maybe you just list gratitude in your mind. Because when you're doing that, you're focusing on the present moment, what you're grateful for. And it's a mini mental vacation.
Would you say that that's kind of like necessary, and we should reframe the guilt that we feel of shooting all over ourselves? Should we reframe that guilt as, I'm taking this 5 minutes so that I can be better for my job?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I gave myself those 5 minutes. So you got to catch yourself when you go down that road and you start saying, I should be doing something. I shouldn't be just sitting here. Because most entrepreneurs, I think, feel that guilt, at least initially, when they're not used to just taking a little break.
I've heard it. I don't have children myself, but I've often heard it akin to that mom guilt, that you feel like you should be with your kids at all times. You should be working on, taking care of the house or whatever. But it's the same whenever your business is your baby,
Oh yeah. Now, if you have kids and you're an entrepreneur, that's like a double whammy.
Yeah. I can't even imagine.
It's guilt upon guilt upon guilt. So you really have to give yourself a break. When you're on vacation, you need to really say, I say to myself, I am taking this day and I'm not checking my phone. I give myself permission to be present with my son, be present with my family, and I'm not going to check the phone.
Something that you said kind of triggered a memory. There's a YouTuber I follow, and his name is Mr. Beast. I'm sure you've heard of him. Yes. He's famous for saying that he will work to the point of burnout intentionally because he loves to give in to the urge of just working until he's like exhausted. Then once he burns out, he'll spend a couple of days recharging, and then he goes right back to work. What do you think about someone like that who intentionally is giving into those urges?
That's interesting. Well, I think that the fact that he acknowledges what he's doing and he points it out and he's mindful of what he's doing gives him permission to do it the way he wants to do it. And so that's what works for him. And everybody has a different idea of what works for them. One person's balance may be very different than another person's balance. And so if that's his version of what's working for him, and that's his balance, by all means, I'd say go for it. It's working for him.
I'm so glad you said that, because so many psychologists that I've spoken with or counselors that I've spoken with in the past, they all seem to put everything into boxes. And that's not how humans are. We're not in boxes. We're completely different individuals. That's what gives us our humanity.
Absolutely. And that would be the opposite of balance. If we put it in a box, we said it's right versus wrong, that would be the opposite of balance. And so 100%, yeah. If you find what works for you and that fulfills you, then that's it. Like, you found your secret sauce, and maybe in 5 years it won't work for you anymore. And then you switch it around. As long as you're doing what your definition of self-care is, that's all that really needs to happen.
So it's almost giving yourself mental check-ins. Like, you're asking yourself regularly, how am I feeling?
It is. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're giving us permission to talk to ourselves.
Talk away.
And then, you know what they say, if you're talking to yourself as an entrepreneur, that's considered a staff meeting.
Oh, that's funny. I like that.
So we've talked a little bit about, humanity and individuality and all that stuff. So I'm curious, for you, what does self-care mean to you?
For me, self-care, again, is really focusing on when I say I'm going to take off, I don't feel that guilt. I really give myself permission to have that break. And so for me, the break might be, sitting, relaxing in my backyard with my cup of coffee and sitting on my lounge chair and noticing the water in the pool, chatting with my son, going for a bike ride. We got these new electric scooters that are so much fun. And so I really just allow myself to have that time, whether it be an hour, whether it be, the morning I'm going to go and do something that I enjoy. And it could be anything. It could be a hobby. It could be a journaling. Some people may enjoy getting a massage. Some people for self-care may enjoy a mindfulness. Whatever it is that does it for you, as long as you do it with the presence of mind of, I'm going to allow myself this time, and you work on that piece of it, then you're taking care of yourself.
Now, whenever it comes to those mental check-ins, what kind of signs should we be looking for that tells us, hey, I need to take a break?
I'd say if you notice exhaustion, fatigue, if you notice that your mood has changed, if you maybe a little shorter with colleagues, maybe a little shorter with friends, with your family, all of those are good. If you're getting sick a lot, your immune system may be lowered. I think all of those are really good signs that you need a break. If you find yourself, ruminating at night, and you're waking up and you're having a hard time going to sleep and you have worry thoughts, all of those can be signs that you need some time to just take a break.
Yeah, that all sounds really good. I mean, I know for me personally, it's when I get resentful of my clients.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because, like, you love what you do, you love showing up, but then you're like, I don't want to talk to this guy. And it's kind of just like, well, it's probably because I need a moment for me.
I hope you've had your moments, because you seem like you're enjoying talking to me. So,
oh yes, I love talking. I love talking like crazy. So I could just do this all day. Like, if it was up to me, I would probably just like do interviews all day and have them all transcribed. But that's not really how writer's life works.
I don't know. It could be. You have a very good radio voice and a very good conversation flowing. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I enjoy that. Thank you so much. So let's kind of steer the conversation back. In your opinion, can mental health care improve your chances of success in business?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because just like you said, when you notice you're starting to feel a little bit resentful, and I'm sure it's not about the client, it's just that you need a break. You're not going to show up as your best self. If I don't have enough sleep and I'm busy, staying up till 1 a.m. working on my business, there's no way I could be a good therapist for somebody the next day. There's just no way. I'm going to be crabby. I'm going to be cranky. At the end of the day, I'm a person too. And so I absolutely, you're going to be 100% better for everybody that everybody's life that you touch in business, in pleasure, your family, your friends. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because Denise Duffield Thomas, she's a money mindset coach, and previously in a past life, she was also a life coach. And when she was life coaching, she said that she would stack her appointments to the point where sometimes she wouldn't even have time to pee. And I'm like, no wonder you got so burnt out. You didn't have time to eat, you didn't have time to even look at your husband.
Yeah.
So it can kind of impact all of your life.
It really can. And I do think that that's something that maybe a lot of entrepreneurs, including myself, have done and maybe sometimes still do. I don't share that usually very often, but I do it with the wherewithal and the knowing that I'm out of here. At 6:00, my last client, I'm going home and I'm going to go and just zone out. I'm going to have my night and I'm going to be with my family, and that'll be my time, kind of like what Mr. Beast said, that he works, and then he takes a break. So that works for me.
I like that. And it's kind of refreshing to hear a mental health professional talk like that, because, we kind of forget that they're constantly having to empty their cup every single day for giving it to everyone else. So, yeah, you need to refill your own cup because you can't give from an empty one.
Exactly. Yes, that's a very good point.
So at what point when you're trying to take care of your mental health, do you think that we can't do it enough on our own and we should seek out mental health support?
And I'm not just saying this because I'm a therapist. I really think that the healthiest people have somebody to talk to. And sometimes you don't want to talk to your family or your friends, or, sometimes your family remembers, maybe you're having a problem with your relationship or your spouse or whatnot. Your family holds that grudge and you just want a neutral party, or you want somebody to kind of help give you some insight. And so I don't think necessarily people have to, hit rock bottom to go and seek out mental health. I think the healthiest people do have coaches, mental health practitioners in their life, and they regularly, I have plenty of people who come in who just want a monthly checkup. They come in and they just want to make sure that they're balanced and there's nothing that they're, not seeing that maybe they could use a little, or they just for their personal growth. But if you do find yourself where, you feel like this is something I really need help with, perhaps, you feel like your mood has changed. You're not as fun anymore. Maybe people say, what's wrong? You notice that you have a negative view versus, your positive or at least neutral view on things. Those all might be signs that your mental health needs a little pick me up, and it might be helpful to talk to someone.
I like that you specifically called it a checkup, because the biggest thing for me is mental health should be treated just like any other kind of form of healthcare. We go to the doctor to get checkups, we get physicals every year, that kind of thing. So why not make sure that we're also checking in? I mean, heck, we even do checkups on our car. So why can't we do a checkup on our brain and our heart?
Right. Exactly. A little tune-up.
Yeah, I like that. So if entrepreneurs need mental health, how should they go about seeking a professional to help them?
Well, one good way are referrals, or, just getting online and doing a little bit of research and finding somebody that seems to be a good fit. You can look up somebody who, maybe has a similar philosophy, maybe has good reviews is a good place to start, and then call the office and see if the person that you're speaking with, it seems to flow, it seems to be a good fit. If the practitioner and the therapist that you're going to be seeing, has a similar, maybe value system, or maybe perhaps they specialize in seeing entrepreneurs, that would be a good way to start.
Yeah, I've often said that it's a lot like dating.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, because you seriously are not going to find the perfect one right off the bat. I mean, I know that whenever I was looking for my own therapist, I went through several where I was like, nope, not it.
Exactly. It takes a few sometimes, and sometimes you get lucky and right away that person's a match for you. It's a fit. But sometimes you don't, and it takes a few to experiment and find somebody. It doesn't necessarily mean mental health failed you, or the mental health professionals, they failed you. It's just you gotta find your match, just like you said.
Well, and speaking of, it's okay to break up with your therapist too. You can find a new one if you're not happy, if you're not feeling like they're connecting with you and helping you with what you need. This is actually something I was just talking to someone recently about. She's in her 60s, and she wanted to have a therapist, and the person that they matched her with was a young 30-something-year-old, and she was fearful that this young woman would not be able to understand what a woman in her 60s was going through. And so I kind of just told her, I'm like, well, if you don't like it, find a new one.
Right. Absolutely. And we understand that as professionals. We understand we're not going to be the right fit for every single person that walks through the doors. And we don't take that to heart. We understand that, people are here to find what's going to work for them. And if it doesn't work for them, then you got to find somebody who does match.
I agree completely, 1,000%. So now let's say we're in a situation, the entrepreneur is in a startup and they want to see a mental health professional, but at this moment, they can't find it in the budget. What would you recommend that they do?
Yeah. There are some resources out there that, that can be free. So that is one way to go. They can also do some work on their own. There's a lot of really good self-help books out there that kind of get the ball rolling. Especially, maybe looking up something where it's an entrepreneur, written by an entrepreneur, how to balance your life. So some psychoeducation and self-help books are a good way to start. Makes you also feel that you're not alone by reading that, this was also someone else's experience. Talking to friends and family, if you have that kind of relationship, other entrepreneurs that might be going through a similar experience. Taking up a mindfulness practice. And that's something that you can just do right away. There's plenty of free apps out there that are mindfulness-based apps, and they're great. And if you just start that, do 5 to 10 minutes a day, people start knowing that just by taking that action sometimes helps them feel better and get out of that rut.
And honestly, at some point, though, if you do decide that you really do need to talk to somebody, you kind of just have to budget for it. That's honestly my opinion, because there's only so much you can do for free. And if you kind of get to that point where you're like, I can't do this by myself, it's having that support that just makes all the difference.
It does. And it may not be that you have to do it forever. You can maybe budget for, 4 visits and then readdress. How am I feeling? Maybe I can go once every other week, somehow get it in. And that might mean, maybe you have to eat out one less time per week or something like that. But,
but yeah, it's worth it. Right. Absolutely. I agree 1,000%. I'm a huge advocate for mental health care. And I think that it is so important that people really remember that they have to prioritize themselves, because if you're not, then you're not going to do anybody any good.
Right. Absolutely.
So where can people find you online?
They can find us at Pathways Counseling Services. So if you just look up our name, and it's www.pathwayscounselingsvcs.com. We're located in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we're right there online. Top on Google, and hopefully we can meet your needs.
Yeah, I don't know if you and I actually ever discussed this, but the reason that I'm so passionate about mental health care is because I am actually a survivor of suicide. My father committed suicide a couple days after Christmas in 2016. So I'm forever saying, if you need a therapist, go get one, please.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, all right, give me all the self-help books, give me all the people I can talk to.
Yeah. So, and you hear about it more and more. You hear about it with kids now, and a lot more than you ever did before, and that's just horrid. My son's school, even the year before he got there, in 6th grade, the year before, committed suicide, a girl, and in 8th grade, it's just awful. It's more and more. So yeah, and of course it doesn't help all the the trauma that they're enduring with not just school shootings, but the bullying online and the social media and the belief that you have to keep up with a certain level. Absolutely. And the social media, we never had that as
Thank God. I mean, there's some stuff I'm glad is nowhere to be seen.
I know. Me too. I'm glad we didn't even have cell phones, to be honest with you.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah, I think in high school I had the Nokia, the paperweight.
Yeah.
So
we had beepers. How old I am.
That's funny. I've heard that those are making a comeback though, which is hilarious to me.
Everything makes a comeback.
Yeah, well, like right now, Target is selling a bunch of stuff that was like huge in the '90s, like the bucket hats and the spaghetti straps dresses and the clog shoes, like, and even the butterfly clips. Like, even those are coming back.
Oh, how funny!
Oh my God, I didn't know I was going to feel this old this fast, but here we are.
I know. Before you know it.
Yeah. Well, so I know you probably got to get going, so I just want to kind of wrap things up, but is there anything that I didn't ask you really think I should, or something that you really want to make sure gets out about mental health care?
Not necessarily. I do think that it's more accepted that I see mental health care seems to be more accepted on the East Coast and the West Coast. And so I do notice that, whereas we have a lot of Midwesterners that come to Arizona, and mental health, really, there's more of a stigma around it. Such that, you really need to be, quote, crazy or really, in trouble if you are, seeking mental health. And so I do see a lot of like children of parents who have come from the Midwest, and that seems to be a bit more of a stigma. And, I just want to let everyone know that, the healthiest of people check in. They check in, they may have somebody at the gym that they go and they see that helps them through exercising, or, they may go to the gym on their own, and it's really no different. They have a coach, a life coach, they have a therapist. If you have the resources, great. If you don't, checking in with your mental health and trying to do self-care and reading books on it can also work as well. But just trying to remove the stigma that comes, with mental health and what that means. And it's, I've really seen the healthiest of people have check-ins and see somebody.
I think that's critical, because we really need to normalize mental health care.
We do.
Absolutely. Really do. And that's why I'm so glad you were here with me today. Thank you so much for everything you've said.
Thank you. I've enjoyed talking to you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, my bloggy friends, I hope you enjoyed all the insights our guest had to share with you. To get the show notes for this and all episodes, go over to famousashleygrant.com/podcast. And until next time, may your page views be high and your bounce rate be low.